People typically look at those two abilities as the top level. It doesn't matter. Think about that question. Put a pin in it. We're ready for game number 1.
I'll come back to you.
We will get your thoughts later. Don't worry. Yeah, we'll find out. But we are going to jump into the first game of the day, ladies and gents. Thank you for bearing with us as we got into it. A couple of players just had to remake the lobby as Hip is going to make his way up middle and see if he can catch anyone out. There is one player in mailroom already as well, so he is just going to have to back off, whereas the rest of the team have already stacked their way over towards that A site. There is going to be a Sage on both sides, so we don't have to worry and have that discussion throughout this game again, Hypoc, but LATEKS is going to be the first point of contact, but pAura is going to be there with a decent shot with the Ghost, and that is the sheer power of the Ghost from distance. The Omen smokes come down, and now they can push onto the A site. They're able to pick up the kill onto their Sage, and the site is going to be claimed, and it's going to be a 3 versus 4 retake.
Yep, and the wall's gone down over screens as well, so whether or not both of these guys reveal their position in there. Hip's actually going to find Zyppan. That's going to put the advantage again over to the whole team. Actually, Meddo trying to get some information out here. And going to get the counter peek. Rhyme's going to find Shadow, and that's just going to leave our boy Meddo stuck in screens. I think we can call this one all but wrapped up. There you go. The headshot lands, and that will be the first round going over to the Prodigy boys. That was unfortunate timing there. You could see both players kind of backing up towards screens. There was a little bit of presence shown elsewhere in the map, and I guess they were reading into that because they hadn't seen anything. Nothing. There was no tell at all on A main Dan. So a bit of unfortunate timing there, but obviously pAura getting traded out meant the entry wasn't for free.
Yeah, unfortunately, if you are going to be sitting on A site and you're going to sit that deep into screens, you have to either at least do a little bit of damage and escape or win that duel. If you're just going to get one tap, then you've done nothing on that site. So unfortunately, just not a strong enough hold on A. But for Prodigy now, they're going to be looking towards getting a little bit of mid control with these SMGs and upgraded pistols and whatnot. There's a couple of shorties on the side of Fabriken. So they'll be lurking around every single nook and cranny to hope they can pick someone off. And when you are in a round like this, you don't really want to go through a choke point. But unfortunately, on split, pretty much every entry point is a choke point. I'd argue that maybe A long is the best place to push in this scenario if you can gain control of that little cubby. But for now, they're just trying to scout all these areas to see if they can catch anyone out. But
this is a dirty stack here with the shorties. If anybody actually walks up male steps here, they're going to be greeted with a couple of slugs. But Spike's going to go down to garage. You see Meddo holding close with the spy cam. Turko does not know what waits around that corner for him. They're going to get contact here. Meddo's actually going to find 2. Luckerrr and Rhyme will fall. And there you go. Shadow will find Turko as he pushes up. There you go. 3 kills are going in favor of Fabriken. That might slow this down. Actually, pAura is going to find 2. They were completely unaware somebody else could be mid. Now you can see he find his 3rd for the round. And just like that, it's turned around at a 1v2. You have just one member of Fabriken. He's going upstairs. You can see him now, Leo, on the X-ray. And there you go. pAura going to find a 4K in round 2 to save that one, arguably. That was not looking good.
With the Vandal as well. I mean, it's always a risky buy in round 2. If they had lost that round, that would have had their economy in tatters. But I guess if we can trust anyone to clutch up, it is going to be pAura after what we saw from him yesterday. I mean, just looks insane, to be honest.
Yeah, he looked insane, and literally from start to finish as well. It was so consistent. I can't recall seeing him lose more than 1 or 2 1v1s in a series. It was actually insane to watch. And again, on the Cypher as well. So he's playing that kind of lurking role, the information gathering. But, you know, if your Cypher can still maintain the same output on attack, it's actually nuts.
Hip just having the Ghost in hand, but SMGs and even an op to the right to support them as they gain control of mailroom yet again. This time, no double shorty stack to do any real damage, but Zyppan is going to be there with a Vandal. Leah comes through, mailroom gathered, but now Zyppan is going to peek out. He gets one onto Rhyme in a bit of raise on raise. Now he's got the boombot to gain even more information. Can't get the spray down, unfortunately, through the Lear, and Hip wins that battle with the Ghost, and now he can retrieve the weapon. And maybe that's going to be enough damage just for them to gain the info and potentially force out the rotate, but nothing from Fabriken. They're holding firm here. 2 players still saying, look, we're not going to move from A just yet, but as I do say that, the Omen is having a little bit of a thought process of maybe rotating through ropes. It does look like B is going to be where they're opting to go.
Yeah, they're playing this so slow as well. 3 of them just stacked in mail, waiting for something. anything they can get out of Fabriken here. Maybe a peek or something. Going to hear the camera popped here. There you go. The information's going to go over. And now you're going to see everybody pull over through defensive spawn. But there's only 2 players to hold down B site right now. So Spike going to drop down next to triple. And they're going to opt to plant it just away from default. But full site control. 2 members of Fabriken probably going to go up to heaven here. But this is a difficult retake here.
Well, Hip didn't know where the Empress button was for a couple of games yesterday, but now certainly has found it in round 3 here. And with the SMG and with that increased fire rate, he is really going to be a threat. 2 players are going to walk straight into his crosshair. He only finds 1, but maybe that is enough to give the information to LATEKS and Meddo, who follow up with 2 of their own. There will be a tap. Is there going to be the defuse? pAura is going to be there. I don't think he's going to find it. And the retake comes through from Fabriken. And a decent retake in the end.
Really nice retake, but that's the problem. And again, we talk about how effective the lurking role can be there. pAura expecting somebody to come from mid, and obviously it's 2 pushing through the defensive spawn entrance, and then 2 going up heaven. So he's a little bit late that time around. Spike was planted for him, but again, with no information, you kind of gain no value at all. If 3 of your players on site fall that quickly, Dan, there's nothing gained off it.
When it's the arguments that comes up so often in your matchmaking games or your 5-stack, where you've got that 1 player lurking and you're saying, well, what if you had been on the site with us? What difference could you have made? But I'm not going to argue against pAura with how he has been performing in the tournament so far. As at least Fabriken are on the board here, and Shadow, he did some incredible work on Friday with the op, and he's continuing that now here. But pAura at least gets 1 of his own, so it is just going to be a 4 versus 4 again. Maybe starting to head towards this A site, but LATEKS catches pAura trying to aimlessly wander onto the site. Maybe a little bit silly there, if I'm completely honest, but after getting the opener, maybe he thought A site was a little bit more free than it was, but the rest of the team are still going to head that way. As there has been a little bit of a rotate from Fabriken. They have stacked towards B here, so actually there's only the Omen to worry about.
I mean, if they push in here, it could be a straight up 2v1. You can see now a rotation coming through the defensive spawn, and all 3 players, Prodigy, are going to come over to A main here. Dark cover has gone down, no information given over just yet, but you can see now Zyppan taking up a position in heaven, and he's just going to play contact. He's going to wait for a peek. Absolutely no reason for him to overextend here. 26 seconds left on the clock, so they've got to think about getting an entry somewhere here. Zyppan's taken up this is a dirty spot now. For it to be this late, they're not going to be, I was going to say they might be pushing in, but they might not check all these angles. And there you go, Zyppan going to find Rhyme, Turko going to trade out LATEKS, and luckerrr's actually going to find 1 as well. And there you go, 2v2 now. Spike going to be planted safe. Yeah. Turko and luckerrr going to try and hold down the fort here. Smoke's going to go down over the screens and the wall. And now both weapons being fired knows that that's the information going over. They know both players are there now. One's actually going to drift back over to heaven, and both are. So that's actually a really good reposition there.
One has the op in hand, and certainly was running with his ghost out just in case he came in contact with a player early. They're both going to head round through screens yet again, try and use what utility they can to burst on the site. Both players are weak on site, so you just got to hit a couple of body shots as Meddo does get the opening engagement. Turko responds, but Shadow finishes things off, and he will have time to defuse this here. So it was a late push from Fabriken, but it has just about worked out for them.
1 second left to spare. That was a fantastic flashpoint going through there. You could see both players, and that was all that was necessary. So, again, playing the clock really, really well there, Dan. They they definitely left it until the last second, literally, to get their entry onto site.
But I like the patience. I like the fact that they recognized that the smoke was there, the wall was there, so they said, okay, let's go ahead and see if we can at least catch 1 of them off guard. And then they had to make a decision there and then of how quickly do we want to burst onto this site. And realistically, you don't want to be jumping out of window. You leave yourself so vulnerable. They pushed together and utilized the flash. And now it's 2-2, and such a promising start from Prodigy has been halted here by Fabriken. We're going to be on a weak buy for Prodigy. So they are just going to try and stack themselves towards mailroom. There is going to be some Cypher traps there in their way. And Shadow is going to be first point of contact with the op. But he is just backing off. Very intelligent here. Doesn't want to give away the op. And now it's going to peek. It's going to be a Sage. It's going to be luckerrr taken down. luckerrr, who so often gets the op shots, instead receives one in this occasion. And the rest of Prodigy say, okay, well, we don't really fancy pushing into this op, so let's try out A instead.
Well, actually, LATEKS going to get a bit of a surprise if he peeks onto ropes here. Actually, going to double peek him on top of there. Here you go. Hip will finally land. Sheriff blow required, but rotation. Shadow going to pick up the operator angle from the defensive spawn. Actually going to go down towards screens, but site control not necessarily there just yet. There you go. Leo will fall on site now. I was going to say there was an awkward wall gone down.
Oh, no.
Showstopper gets popped and denied, so looks like we're going to have a similar day to yesterday. Turko will find Zyppan now in heaven. And here you go. pAura's going to find another. Neural Theft gets popped. Shadow's going to probably opt to try and save, but Hip's going to find him as he tries to run away.
Fair play to Prodigy on a eco
Really
round.
nice round.
Thrifty. It was just a decent push for them, really, being able to pick up that 1 kill with the double Sheriff peak on ropes, and then the SMG being gained, and of course, the ability of Reyna being able to heal back up for Hip was massive in that scenario. And now they can buy up, and they get arguably a free round they shouldn't have been able to achieve, and now it's going to be 2 rounds realistically, as Fabriken are on a save of their own. But it does show the real power of the Sheriffs, and maybe if you're new to the game and you think that the eco rounds are kind of throwaway rounds, they are winnable if you play them right.
But again, though, that push to okay, luckerrr's starting. Here you go. luckerrr's getting warmed up now, Dan. He's found LATEKS over on ramp on A. You see the rotation comes out now, so they're expecting after that pick to get some freedom in mid and towards B heaven. See 3 of them stacked up now. We're going to see a double peek coming up. Actually, the flashpoint is really good. He doesn't actually get a kill off of that, but Meddo's going to follow up with the ghost, and Hip will fall at the bottom of the steps there.
Yeah, Hip falls, but they haven't been able to retrieve the weapon, and Turko is just going to be defending that one. That's the important thing here. Don't let them take the Vandal, because they can do a lot of damage. One weapon can win or lose you a round, so that's why Turko is just being a little bit hesitant here. Of course, there is the potential for a res, so Hip gets picked back up. Prodigy don't want to throw away this round, so they want to get to a healthy total of 5 yet again. Fabriken down to just 4 after the early pick from luckerrr. Another spike being planted on B site. The retake is the name of the game for Fabriken. 1 player in ropes is going to be Leo, and he is going to be finding the lurking Cypher, and almost actually got away with that. pAura wasn't able to connect with those shots. Maybe the crouch threw him off a little bit. Hip is going to come in contact with 3 players here, and a nice little ability to dismiss that one there. Just get away and go in vulnerable. Fair play to for Meddo, though. Like, he's doing some real damage with this ghost. It's not going to win them the round. Prodigy 4-2 now, and they're starting to heat up. You're completely right. luckerrr on the op is the scary factor here.
It is, yeah. And again, that was kind of the backbone of their attacking success, to be honest with you, was how many times luckerrr was able to just either getting a pick by early peeking onto one of the sites, or that mid push we saw him do against the Viper, where he was consistently getting up to box, and he was either getting a pick on ropes or he's getting a pick on B heaven. And we know how deadly the B split has been on this map. So hopefully for Fabriken, we don't see him pick up some steam here, but I'm going to see another 4 stack towards mid with that Cypher lurk over towards A. Speak of the devil, he's going for the box.
He does have Showstopper in mailroom here. Finds one, pops the Showstopper, but the Showstopper is a curse at the moment. Turko immediately blasts his face off, and now it's going to be a 4 versus 2. Fabriken losing a couple of members. LATEKS at least will respond and take down 1. pAura again just being caught out a little bit there. LATEKS has done pretty well with this A-hold, if I'm completely honest. And we saw a lot of that when we originally saw them play as well on Friday. Quite often he would be solo holding sites and always rely on him to at least get 1. He's going to have a little bit of a sniff down here at ropes, but unfortunately it is a bad smell, and it's going to be Rhyme to make this just a 3 versus 1. I'm not really hopeful for Meddo here because they know he plays at B, so they're going to quickly rotate and plant this spike at A, and it's probably going to be a 5-2 unless we see something incredible, but judging by the speed of which he's walking, this is going to be a save.
Especially with that skin. I know I'm not chucking that away to anybody that can't afford to buy the skins, that's for sure.
So in terms of yesterday, when I asked the question if there is a correlation of dropping this skin to your teammate and their performance, I did play a couple of games of ranked last night, and I did drop these skins to my teammates, and I have to say, I think they played better. So I think there is maybe a pay-to-win element here. You just drop the skins to your teammates instead of using them yourself.
There was a leak live on broadcast yesterday about the 20% accuracy buff, so I've been scared to queue up since, Dan. I'm not gonna lie.
So for Fabriken, after a 2-round swing and being able to at least stop the bombardment of attack from Prodigy, they've been set right back in their ways yet again. And this is why Prodigy have chosen to attack first here, because they were confident on attack on split yesterday, and they're finding the same confidence. They're just dominating their way through the middle of getting the early pick, and then they're just kind of forcing their way onto either site. As soon as they get another member down on either A or B, they're more than happy to kind of send everyone else that way. There has been a couple of members of Fabriken that have like rotated too soon and have got themselves caught out by the likes of pAura, who has been lurking and waiting.
Well, that's the thing. If he can consistently shut down those rotates, and again, you can question the lurk roll as much as you like. That's going to be a flashpoint set. Come out here, Turko could be in trouble here. There's a couple of sheriffs, and there you go. Shadow will find him with the ghost eventually. Secondary flashpoint going to come out, try and get his teammate back to him. The headshot through the box. Lucka needs to be careful here, but Hip will find Zyppan at top mid. As I was saying, you know, if you've got somebody effectively lurking like that can shut down the rotates, or, you know, take off one person that's going to come late for that retake onto a site, it is very, very valuable. It's ooh, like that. Hip trying to get rid of the fancy skin, but yeah, I mean, pAura just looked absolutely fantastic doing it, and it's so consistent as well. It's so consistent.
Well, all 4 members of Prodigy here at A, and they have been able to work their way up to ramp. Heaven will be free for them. They don't know that yet, but it's because LATEKS is just holding this angle up on the rafters. Means they can get up into Heaven, but the peak doesn't come through. It doesn't work out. At least Lucka will find him eventually. Well, that's one of them, but LATEKS has survived. Now he can get onto his back site. Doesn't get the spray down onto Lucka, and it's Lucka again with the entries being a huge momentum swinger for the team. Rolling Thunder comes out just to try and deny the plan and waste a little bit of time, but pAura is there with the spray down. Can't connect onto Meddo though. The spike will go down, but it's going to be a 2 versus 1. And Lucka with a very little health, and I don't think he's got a heal available to him. Maybe if he can delay long enough, he might be able to heal up. But instead, he sees the tap, he gets the 3k onto Shadow, and now he can play this one slowly. He can wait for the audio cue, see if there's going to be a tap, but Meddo says, no, I'm not going to play that game. And Fabriken put their 3rd on the board.
Again, really nice play from Lucka there, but, you know, shout out to LATEKS. He's done insane work with the Stinger to get 2 of those kills on the push-in. Again, unfortunate with the Shrouded Step. I don't think they actually heard him pop the Shrouded Step, so if he didn't jump there, maybe he wouldn't have given his spot away in corner sight, but yeah, he definitely did just enough work to slow the push down, get that valuable time to rotate. But again, Lucka, even when he's not got the operator, putting in some work there post-plant.
I wonder whether Prodigy should have just waited a little bit longer there on the kind of a short push and waited for the one player to get into Heaven before they pushed. But it didn't really work out. As you say, LATEKS just a double spray down with a Stinger. Like, you should never really see that. The fact that Lucka's had to respond with an op shot, being the 3rd one entering there, maybe says something about the other 2's aim. I don't know, but Prodigy 5-3. And Fabriken are going to have money now again. And I'm sure if they can get 5 rounds here, they'd be happy, but Turko gets the entry onto Zyppan. Shadow will back off, has the op, so we can just watch a tight angle, but the Leo is going to be there just to ruin his vision. Leo is taking down pAura, though. Again, pAura just getting caught out over on that A side.
I think they're privy to it now. They're kind of actively looking for that now, and you see as soon as they get pAura, the rotation comes through to defensive spawn, so they're ready to come and back up B site here.
Rhyme's been able to walk onto the site, though. If he was able to get over the traps, I don't know. But Meddo and Shadow are caught off guard, and now the spike can be planted on B. Just 2 members of Fabriken left for the retake. It's going to be LATEKS. He has done a little bit of damage. He does have ultimate, but I don't think it's going to be of use in this scenario. Instead, they're just going to have to use their raw aim. Does have Paranoia to work with and a dark cover.
Problem being, though, on the other side, we've got the orbital strike and the showstopper, and we know Empress has already been popped, so this is a tall order for these guys right now, Dan.
Well, Paranoia comes out, dark cover just to initiate the site push. Rhyme is just going to wait in this dark cover, though, and...
Nice.
Well, wham bam, thank you, ma'am. That's going to be a 3rd for Rhyme. Prodigy goes 6-3 up. we've seen so many rounds lost on ecos in this game, but then as soon as it goes back to a gun round, Prodigy are like, oh yeah, it's fine. I mean, when we're going up against agile guns, we don't have a problem at all. We'll see whether Fabriken can pull something out again, because their money is tight. Meddo is going to be the only one to have a rifle by the looks of it. Just whether they go for something a little bit different. Most of the times on the eco rounds, they've just been flashing out of middle and hoping to catch one of the players off guard, and it's worked out every time they've gone for it.
Again, though, the problem, I mean, you mentioned this earlier, that the difficulty is you shut down one of the players, but you can't obtain the weapon. And again, on your eco round, if you can get a Vandal and play safe around it, you know, come back, play, just play like a corner on site or something like that. It makes it a bit more valuable. But if they're taking these engagements in mid, other than a rare miss from pAura, there's a cage disc bounce off the roof there. But like I said, it's so frustrating for a weapon to be down bottom mid, and you still kind of stood there with a classic like, well, it sucks.
A lot of patience now from Prodigy. No speedy pushes onto site, no fast executes. There's 3 members over at A, and pAura again, unfortunately, getting caught out on the flank. He hasn't had a good time since the early rounds where he was able to pick up multiple kills. You hit the nail on the head when you said Fabriken are a little bit wiser to it now and are almost actively looking for it. And at that point, it's whether you should be trying something a little bit different if you're pAura, and maybe just joining the rest of the squad and 5-man pushing. Showstopper comes out onto site. Rhyme is going to have it. Is he going to find anyone? He's going to be fully flashed. Doesn't connect with anything. And we don't even get to see his demise, but Meddo was able to get it. Gets a third as well. luckerrr responds. LATEKS onto Turko. And luckerrr is just doing some real damage right now, but it's not going to be enough to win the round. Fabriken get their 4th.
He was fully flashed and absolutely turned on Shadow there. That was disgusting. It's lucky we didn't catch that one in eyes, because that would have been disgusting. Again, luckerrr's he's got enough clips from yesterday to make a small montage anyway. So
Valorant montages. I mean, they're starting to be released. I've seen some
update for you
insane
guys.
stuff. Some insane
G2 is
stuff.
0-1 against Party Barretts.
So G2 losing to Party Parrots, that is not what I was expecting to hear.
Especially considering the end of the day the Parrots had. That's what map was it, Moses?
I'll provide you next update.
Okay.
Well, whilst we wait for another update on G2 versus the Party Parrots, Pip was able to get 2, and entrance onto A site was very comfortable afterwards. Zyppan desperately trying to get his way into heaven. Boombot gets sniped away from him though. And whilst he's in this Radianite on the floor, it's ice.
The map was
He's
Haven.
just going to wait. The map was Haven that G2 lost against Party Parrots. That's interesting. luckerrr connects with 1 onto Zyppan. Shadow will respond with one of his own onto Rhyme. And here comes Hip on the 3K and on the hunt for a 4th. He's going to come from behind, and it should be a comfortable 4 for him. It is well played by Hip.
Yeah,
7-4 to Prodigy.
Hip's on a different level today, Dan. This is we saw him signs of life yesterday, but I don't think we saw him look this good yesterday. That's for sure. 13-7 right now, really making the Reigner work on split. And yeah, we kind of said it a few times. What's the value they're getting out of it? Because we didn't see an Empress for an entire game, right? And that was like did that one go to? I think it ended 13-12. That was the overtime, right?
Yep.
But definitely making it work this time around. Maybe he heard us, Dan. He's just gonna be popping the Empress every chance he gets now.
I think a lot of people in general are just a little bit too safe with their ultimates. I mean, you can regain them so quickly if you're having a good game and you're picking up kills and getting your plants, getting your orbs. Getting old, I mean, in a couple of rounds if you play your cards right. luckerrr gets the opener onto LATEKS. Zyppan seeing if he can get an op of his own, but at least his nade might do a little bit of damage, but they're wise to it and they manage to avoid it. luckerrr is going to res another dead pAura.
The split
take down Leodeddz. Yeah, there is a big old split, but Zyppan is doing some work. Does have the showstopper to work with. He's just going to use a couple of satchels to try and gain a bit of momentum. That could be a decent one. It's going to be a 4K for him. Looks for the ace, but just misses out. Can the grenade do the work? He's just going to be the one remaining player. He gets the ace. Okay, there was a res and there was 6 people alive, but I'll give you that one. A decent ace for Zyppan and showing us how the showstopper can be effectively used.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the first double with the showstopper we've caught on camera all weekend.
I mean, to be fair, it's one of the first kills we've caught with the showstopper in general.
Yeah, okay.
But the amount of times I've seen a Raze like pop the showstopper and then not fire it when they don't see anyone, whereas like that instance, you're just predicting. You know that there are potentially players down there, and you say, "Well, there's so much splash damage. Why not fire this?" And
I mean, I love the read though. He knew that he had another enemy on obviously the Cypher up in a ramp, but again, just peeks out heaven. And effectively cuts off their rotation as well to come and back him up. It's a really, really nice pre-fire from him.
Fabriken were able to get 5 rounds defensively, but now we'll see what they have to offer when they're attacking. pAura is going to be the first point of defense here on B site on his own at the moment. Does have cyber cages as a one-way. They're going to waltz their way onto site though, and Leo is on top of the wall. Plant's going to go down, and now the rest of the team from Prodigy need to be there to help. Zyppan's gained control of the defensive side. He's got some good after plant positions that's going to make it pretty difficult for Prodigy, but there are a couple of members weak on the side of Fabriken. Zyppan does manage to get a satchel out, but it's not going to be enough. Turko gets the first, and then just like that, everyone falls. Luckerrr finds 2. LATEKS takes down Rhyme. Now it's going to be luckerrr and the teammate, and it's going to be easy peasy in the end. Just the one player who was waiting back site. pAura connects with it, and Prodigy get the opener. 8-5. And I wonder whether this is going to be how Prodigy just finished this game off. I think they would be pretty happy with 7 rounds, but maybe expected more. But they certainly looked okay defensively on split, and if they get the pistol round, they get a couple of rounds to follow. That will give them such a confidence boost.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, Split's one of those maps where, on the attacking side, it is all about momentum. One of those, again, another one where it's very difficult to kind of convert any eco rounds, really. Once you get that pistol round, you can kind of just turtle down. People have got to close a lot of distance to kind of pressure you with classics or anything else like that. So we talk about freebies. I think split pistol rounds one of the most important to get.
Well, Fabriken are going to have to try something a little bit different with their eco round near here attacking. pAura has switched sites, not holding B. Maybe under the presumption that, well, now they know I'm at B, they're probably going to go A. Well, might have worked out initially, but it seems like Fabriken potentially have caught wind of that. The first one goes down, though. Zyppan falls to Rhyme. LATEKS does have a stinger. And actually, it is SMGs all round for Fabriken here. Forcing up and trying to do something, trying to make something of this game and not allow Prodigy to just run away with things in the second half. One player is going to be there in ropes. Paranoia makes him retreat so fast, and the quick follow from LATEKS, unfortunately, is going to be walking right into pAura's trap. Leo is there to respond for 1, but pAura maybe already done the damage. Prodigy just rotating back round to B. Little do they know, Leo still very much waiting here in heaven, but he walks straight into Rhyme's SMG. No time for Fabriken here to even get the spike down, so that's going to be Prodigy taking another, and it was an investment on Fabriken's side. They bought up some SMGs, they tried to combat this second round, and that means that they're almost gifting 10 to Prodigy at this point. But we have seen some interesting eco rounds so far, so I'm not going to say it is a guarantee. And do you think that this is Prodigy's half now for the taking after the opening 2 and potentially 3 now with the force from Fabriken?
I mean, the force is always a sketchy situation, and like you said, you're not only gifting the 1 eco round, but on top of that, if you lose the force, you put yourself in a really, really difficult position, because unless you a couple of players pick up 2 or 3 kills, you know, the economy's still not going to be right. So unless you can hold on to utility. We're going to see luckerrr here. Actually, going to find the first, but Meddo there with the trade with the stinger. Upgrade himself to a Spectre, but like I said, unless you're holding on to all your utility as well, it's very difficult to full buy out of that third round as well, Dan. Especially if you buy down to, you know, less than 500 credits.
pAura gives up his Vandal. If Zyppan can get hold of that, maybe this is potential for Fabriken to cause an upset in this round, but Hip will manage to get the overheal after the SMG kill. Satchel comes sailing towards his face. Always a scary thing.
He found him with a boom bot. Hip will clear it up, but... Right. Really well placed, actually. It bounced straight back onto him. I think it actually caught Zyppan on the reload. So we couldn't even deal with it.
And finally now Fabriken can have their buy round, but Prodigy will have the money to also buy up as well if they would like.
But again, though, if we can just take, if we can take a quick look at the economy here, our observers team can bring up the scoreboard. We'll see just how painful this is going to be if they lose this round, Dan. Because I can't help but feel like a lot rides on this round, and it's 10-5.
Maybe that's why they went for the force up, because they recognize that they could find themselves in this situation either way. Shadow has the op now, though. A little bit of space to the left of the smoke. Leaves the player on ramp vulnerable, but pAura may be recognizing that and retreating. Paranoia comes through, allowing Meddo to get aggressive here on Heaven. With the dark cover there, they're kind of just caught between two different ideas of what they want to achieve here. Do they want to push in aggressively, or do they want to wait as Leo gets the opener onto luckerrr? At least they now have the player advantage. Hip just waiting in ropes. Because of the patience from Fabriken here, it looks like Prodigy a little bit unsure as to where this push is going to come out. I don't know if they're aware of the Cypher that is currently residing on ramp. But there is a couple of traps there just to give them the info. And Rhyme, it's such a good place, but is he going to catch out Shadow? Yes, he does. He looks instantly for the second. Zyppan will trade. 3 versus 3. Fabriken in a must-win round. From behind comes Hip, but he can't connect with a shot. Zyppan doing so well, 180ing onto him. And look how weak the members of Fabriken are, though. This is certainly still doable from Prodigy.
A bit of a zoning showstopper there. Looking like pAura going to try and find something from Heaven here. Teammate coming up through Mail as well. But again, good post-plant setup here. You got Zyppan up on the rafters here. Trying to pre-fire these corners here, clear these angles. Still 2 members low. Actually, the heal's going to come out there. LATEKS and Zyppan shut down Turko and pAura, stopping any chance at all of the retake. Again, I mean, that was a must-win, and they absolutely deliver on that one, Dan. That was kind of just picked off one by one, to be honest with you. That push down mid from Rhyme getting punished, and it kind of gifted them B Heaven.
Yeah, and the opening frag going on to luckerrr as well, even though it's off screen. You know that luckerrr is going to be confidently peeking and looking for maybe op shots. Potentially Fabriken taking advantage of that. This time instead, luckerrr is going to be on the B site, just with a little bit of a more defensive hold and a more of a passive approach from Prodigy. I'm going to be playing a very aggressive angle here in mail room. Does fire the showstopper, at least connects with one, so he's done his job, as elsewhere Meddo will take down pAura. Ultimate for a moment will get LATEKS onto A site here, and he's got all that information that no one is there. At least in his close proximity anyway, but as I say that, Turko is there on the ramp. It's one of the places the Omen couldn't see. A couple of back and forth steps towards Heaven just to try and warn any players who may be residing there. A little tap on the orb as well isn't going to be enough to bring Turko out. The spike just about going down now. Rhyme just tagging, saying there might be someone in hell just next to the plant pot. He's got LATEKS to his close left. They need to peek at the same time here. Turko does find us first. And now the rest of the team stomp onto the side. Meddo will take down Turko. That's a huge kill, and it's going to be a 2 versus 2. Meddo only has 71 HP to work with, though. as he's now the only remaining player. And luckerrr, well, it was easy for him in the end after the slow came out, as Prodigy are going to take the 11th round. And even though it was a good push from Fabriken, they were able to work their way onto the site with the Omen ultimate. It was Turko who was just lurking on ramp and waiting on ramp, being very patient.
Yep, should see a full buy coming out here. I don't think the economy is broken just yet for Fabriken. But again, Prodigy still got some wind in their sails. They're looking really good today on Split, Dan. I know yesterday we had a couple of stalemates on Split. They're definitely looking better this time around.
Well, this is why it was their map of choice, Prodigy. And even though Fabriken arguably favourites coming into this series, I think Prodigy shocked a few of the community yesterday with how they performed. I don't think a lot of people would have been expecting them to perform as well as they did. Rhyme's going to have to back off from the boom bot. No real ground gathered by Fabriken just yet. They're still quite deep in mid. Slowly but surely they are going to push up. They just need to be careful from ropes because still going to be one player there. Rhyme waiting. Paint shells are available if they want to use them. We are going to see the ultimate from Breach come out, which will allow them to push into mailroom. The orbital strike will slow them down, and now they are stuck in mailroom here. So this is the perfect chance for Prodigy to push if they want to. pAura will push. He will find two. Meddo gets one of his own onto hit, but here comes the rest of the cavalry. luckerrr and pAura just doing a real job here. Meddo, the last remaining player, yet again in a 1 versus 3.
I have retrieved the spike.
At least he's got the spike. But I think with 30 seconds left, he has to make a move towards B here, and he's going to go straight into Rhyme's crosshair. Can we even call it a crosshair? It's just a dot at this point, isn't it? But 12-6.
Yeah, I mean, we predicted this, right? Prodigy have looked a lot better than they did on Split previously, and I'm not gonna lie, Fabriken looked, well, looking the same way they did in that D2 series, where they just got absolutely locked out on attack. And again, there, just the utility usage there, the wall going up over ropes, and then the 4-man push into mail. The orbital strike just gets them stuck in there. pAura comes down to absolutely punish that. It's a really good setup from Prodigy. You can't fault it.
Well, do or die now for Fabriken. Could be potentially their final round. They are going to burst onto the A site quite successfully, but there's already 3, make that 4 members in heaven and around the ramp area. And they're all just going to push down ramp together, and if they can take the first player on the right-hand side, then maybe they've got an easy push onto site, but they're going to be actually pincered, but they're able to get both Rhyme and Turko take down LATEKS and Zyppan. Turko gets the second onto Shadows as well, and make that a 3k for Turko, and it's just a formality at this point, as once again, just going to be a Meddo on his own, unless he does something special, but it's not going to happen. pAura gets the final 13-6 then, in favor of Prodigy against Fabriken. I think that's the way we saw this one going.
Yeah.
And I guess if Prodigy had even started defending